Okay, so today we're going deep on something that's both fascinating and kind of, well, unnerving, to be honest.
Oh, unnerving is a good word for it.
It is, right. I mean, we're talking about large language models, LLMs,
LLMs, yeah, everyone's talking about.
right? Like ChatGPT. I mean, these things can write just about anything, poems, code, scripts, even music.
It's mind-blowing what they can do.
Totally. But that's kind of where the unnerving part comes in.
Yeah.
How can we be sure these AI systems are reliable? Especially when we're giving them specific instructions. Like, how do we know they're really getting what we want?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We've got some research on the challenges of something called uncertainty estimation in LLMs.
Mm.
And there's this new framework called RLAE. It's helping researchers understand the limits of these powerful tools, even the ones everyone's raving about, like GPT 3.5 and GPT-4.
Yeah, RLAC, it's pretty revolutionary in a way.
So let's break this down. Imagine I'm asking an LLM to do something complex, like summarizing a dense research paper. But I want it in plain English, something anyone could understand.
Right, a real challenge for the LLM.
Exactly. How do I know it's accurately capturing what I'm asking for and not going off on some wild tangent?
Right, and that's where this idea of uncertainty estimation comes in. It basically gives us a confidence level for what the AI is producing.
So, like, how sure is the LLM that it's giving me what I actually asked for?
Yeah, think of it like a trustometer for the AI.
I like that, a trustometer. But you said earlier that existing methods for measuring uncertainty aren't always so reliable, especially when it comes to these LLMs actually following instructions.
Exactly. And that's where RLAC comes in. It's kind of like putting these LLMs through a lie detector test, but for instructions.
So like a Turing test, but for following directions.
You got it. It uses these things called contrastive prompts. It's basically trying to trick the LLMs to see if they can tell the difference between the right instructions and ones that are intentionally wrong.
So give me an example. What would one of these trick questions look like?
Okay, so imagine you're asking an LLM to write, let's say, a 50-word summary of a news article, right? But you tell it to make the summary sound negative. RLAC would also give the LLM the same article, but with the instruction to make the summary sound positive.
Ah, I see. So you're testing whether the LLM can pick up on the subtle differences in how you're asking it to frame the summary.
Exactly. And if the LLM can't consistently tell the difference and keeps generating summaries with the wrong tone, well, that suggests it might not be fully grasping the nuances of your instructions.
So it's not just about whether the LLM can follow instructions, but if it can understand the intent behind them.
You nailed it. And you know what? What RLAC found was pretty revealing. Even the really advanced LLMs, the ones everyone thinks are amazing, they stumbled on certain types of instructions. Like their ability to reliably follow directions really depended on how complex the instruction was and the type of instruction it was given.
So even if an LLM sounds super confident in its response, there's a chance it's not really getting what we're asking it to do.
Sadly, yeah, that's a real possibility.
Wow. And I can see how this is getting into that unnerving territory we were talking about.
For sure. I mean, think about it. If you're using an LLM to write code and it misinterprets your instructions, even a little bit, you could end up with software that's riddled with errors. Or even worse, it could have security vulnerabilities, and that could be disastrous.
It's like thinking you gave someone perfect directions to your house, but they end up miles away because they missed a crucial turn.
That's a perfect analogy, and it's why this RLAC research is so important. We're using LLMs in more and more areas of our lives, everything from search engines and writing assistants to even medical diagnosis tools.
Yeah, it's kind of scary how quickly they're becoming part of our everyday lives.
It is, and that's exactly why understanding their limitations is so crucial, especially their ability to understand and accurately follow instructions. I mean, we got to be able to use these tools safely and responsibly.
I think the takeaway here is that we can't just assume these LLMs are infallible, even if they sound totally convincing. We have to remember they can be uncertain, especially when we're relying on them for important things.
Absolutely. This research is really just scratching the surface. As LLMs become even more powerful, which they inevitably will, it's more important than ever to really get a handle on their limitations. And honestly, we need to use them thoughtfully and, yeah, with a healthy dose of skepticism.
So much food for thought here. If even the most advanced LLMs are struggling with these issues, what does this mean for the future of AI? I mean, how do we develop systems that are both unbelievably powerful and unbelievably reliable? That feels like the ultimate challenge, right?
It really does. It's a challenge that's going to keep researchers and developers busy for a long time, I think.
Well, it seems like we've only just begun to understand LLMs and what they're capable of. But it's a good reminder that we need to be aware of their limitations, even as we're amazed by their potential.
100% agree. It's a fascinating and rapidly evolving field, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And that's a wrap for our deep dive today. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for having me.